So recently there's been a thread on Steel Soldiers resurrected about wheel chocks. And I think the original question was if they have spring brakes, which lock the rear wheel solid when the air is down, do you need to bother? And I shared a story about how Shay was coming out my door. He wanted to come out my door, and in the process of scooting from one seat to the other, he accidentally pushed down on the parking brake lever. Luckily, I was standing right over here. I could hear it hiss, because it's not instantaneous. And I was able to get back in the truck and throw the lever up, with it only moving about, I don't know, a foot and a half. And so, I mean, I hadn't even a chance to put the chocks down at that point. And then it devolves into the regular sort of Steel Soldier craziness stuff with, well, it's irrelevant, right? But there's a number of people who put forward expert opinions about wheel chocks and whatnot. And my argument was, I use them even with the spring brakes because, yeah, sometimes stupid stuff happens and it's a measure of security. And like I said, I was actually getting them right here to put them down when Shay bumped the lever. And he and I had a talk about that. Okay, look, number one, these tires are freaking gigantic. You know, I mentioned in my post that occasionally I'll forget and drive over them. Rage! You shouldn't be able to drive over your wheel chocks. They'd have to be huge, guys. I mean, you come a foot and a half, right? I can say, having used these and tested these, that they'll hold the truck without any problems about there. So what I mean is I put two of them down, I put one under that wheel, and I put one under that wheel. And that's it. But I've taken my brakes off just to see if it'd roll over them, and it hasn't. And driven over them about a half dozen times. Usually at night, or when I get distracted, or when it's like, all right, everybody's off the truck's been swept and clean, I'm hungry, I want to go home. And they took exception to that as well, that occasionally I drive over them. Look, if you're going to your boxes to get your wheel chocks because they're so big you can't stuff them in front of your spare tire, then I don't care who you are. You ain't using them every time. And some folks, I mean, I guess we're kind of an exception, I'll chock the truck up a dozen times a day. And I understand that there are a lot of other solutions. Draining the air, right? Drain the air system, and absolutely, she can't roll off on you. You know, if you run into the store, you park it for half hour, you can't be building air every single time. You can't be draining air every single time. So as far as you holding chocks large enough to, I believe they said, hold the truck in place at idle in gear. If you're carrying chocks that big, you're coming over to these boxes to get them. If you're coming over to these boxes to get them every time, then you're either parking the thing in your own driveway, God bless, at some sort of truck show, fantastic, but I know for a fact you're not parking it multiple times a day. You know, to be honest, they truly do have spring brakes, and those spring brakes are pretty foolproof. When I hear from folks who've had these things start to roll, and I know there are a lot of different versions and different trucks work different ways, but these ones, okay? When I hear folks talk about these things starting to roll, it's almost always involving some sort of whoops and the parking brake. Reminded me that years ago there was something I was going to build just to combat the problem, and it was an idea that came to me before I actually had Shay do it. But with the resurrection of this thread, I've decided to actually carry it out, and I have built a parking brake lock. Concept is incredibly simple. If these accidents are coming from this being pushed down by mistake, then you need a way for it not to be pushed down. It's just a piece of pipe, a washer welded into the top, some chain welded onto the side. If I had, this is 2 inches long. If I had to do it over, I would make it 3. I think that would make it a touch harder to get off. You know, I spent some time after I made it and I was like, dang, I wish that was longer. I'm trying to think of a scenario where all this sort of accidentally could be removed, and you know, could I get a foot in there and whatnot. And I can't really think of one. You know, for Shay, he had moved over and pushed off of this lever, right? You see, that's how it works. You just can't unlock it. He pushed it over on this lever. Someone else talked about how they had a kid crawl through the window, and he stepped, and his foot pushed it down. There's a very simple solution to what at least 3 or 4 of us have talked about happening on our trucks, which is the parking brake being accidentally pushed away. The fact is, when you have spring brakes, it really can't roll. Okay? So the issue is not the truck getting loose on you. The issue is the spring brakes releasing. And that just seemed like a really simple kind of thing. And it kind of becomes second nature. You know, you reach it from the driver's seat. I want to put a magnet, right? So I can clip it right there. I need one more thing rattling in here, like I need a hole in my head. So I want to be able to grab it quickly, and I want it to be quiet. So there's a lot of space right there. I'm really thinking of a neodymium drawer catch magnet. Clip. She'd stay right there. I don't think that'd make any noise. I don't want it. It really can't get down into. We run the truck in and out of high and low range every tour, but I really can't get down in there. I don't think it needs to bang into my plastic lines here, though. I mean, they're tough, and this is pretty light, and it's just going to sit down there, but there's no need for it to do that. So I'm going to put a magnet right here, or I thought over here, like a little hook on the side of the, oh, I forgot to take it off, and then you're good to go. So there it is. Sort of a money where your mouth is. Come up with an actual solution, and I think that one is very simple. I think I would like this another inch longer. I'm probably not going to bother fixing it. It's just if I did it over again, that's what I would do. But, it's a pretty rare occasion to knock this down in the first place, and I think to add this, you've got a rare occasion on top of a rare occasion. That's got to give you some measure of security. The other thing I thought was it wouldn't be hard for a fella to add a little padlock, a little hasp right here, and you could padlock your parking brake lock on, and yeah, ain't nobody getting your truck doing that. I mean, you can chain the steering wheel down. They could still smash it into a bunch of stuff, but yeah, she ain't gonna move. She ain't gonna move with this. By the way, if you ever wanted to test the mechanical portion of your parking brake, it's really quite simple. You hit the emergency brake override, and that will put your spring brakes off while your parking brake is still set. Then you put the truck in gear, and it's like not supposed to move with it in gear and the motor running with the mechanical brake on. And when I did mine a while ago, I mean, I just goosed it just a littlest bit, right? You just want to know that she's going to stay there. It's another freak occurrence, but you just want to know that she's going to stay there. But I would caution you about pouring the coal to it in your test. That's going to put an awful lot of stress on an awful lot of components that, while they're designed to do it, they don't need to, in my opinion. And then, of course, if you need to adjust it, right, you just turn this like a knob. That mine's kind of seized up right there. Yeah. And that sets the parking brake in the old hub, just like the old trucks used to have. I do not believe you need to use entire logs as wheel chocks. I believe if your wheel chocks are too large for you to stuff them comfortably in front of your spare tire, that you will inevitably stop using them, unless you're only just driving the truck from point A to point B or show work or something like that, right? But if you're actually driving it around, I believe it's inevitable that you'll stop using them. I think that's human nature. So this, right, a little bit of extra security, simple to make, somewhat idiot-proof. Thanks for watching.